Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I love it. Hey, that's what happens when you're live. Hey, guys, welcome to Unpopular Review Entertainment Edition. We're talking Marvel What Ifs. Episode 2 came out earlier today. We have, yes, throw it up, Wakanda Forever. Um, we have a What If featuring T'Challa. And what if T'Challa was Star Lord? Before we go and break down like some of our favorite parts and talk about this episode, what did you think about this episode, Big Vic? What did you think? Oh,
I
Star
thought it was.
Chala, Star Chala. I just saw your name, Star Chala. It's cool.
I thought it was very interesting. Shout out to Chadwick Boseman. May he rest in peace. Clearly, this was an episode dedicated to him, and it was very, very interesting. This what if stuff is really, really catching my eye because there's a lot of things from several movies in this, and the way they just twist it
Yeah,
around is
yeah.
incredible. Like from T'Challa to Thanos to Nebula. I think the only person that was the same was Yandu.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Yondu's felt the same. I do want to talk
yeah,
about I do want to talk about some of these characters. I'm glad you brought that up. The biggest difference was Thanos. The
yes,
biggest. It was almost
wow,
he was so comical in this episode because when you see him, so when the episode first started, you see the name. So I see Josh Brolin, and I said, "Oh, Thanos is going to be here." But because of how he's been portrayed in the MCU, I'm already expecting him to be the bad guy. But he's kind of like the cool guy. Like he's not really
yes.
bad. Yeah.
He felt very much like Hulk. You know
Uh,
what I mean? And
what are you
like
talking?
especially like in the fighting scenes and things like that. Like he felt a lot like Hulk.
I see what you mean.
But the
I see what
funny
you mean.
thing is, is that like the bad guy is still there.
Oh, you're
You know
like
what I mean?
the collector.
No, 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 no. I mean inside of Thanos, because like,
Oh,
for
yeah, yeah,
example,
yeah, yeah.
you know how he's like, whenever he's in a social setting, he's mentioning his plan and all of that, and people are saying to him like,
That's
that
like
sounds like
genocide
genocide. And he's all like, not really. If it's quick and
and
efficient,
effective.
and even
Yeah, yeah,
Nebula,
yeah.
it's
I thought that was
hilarious.
so hilarious because he's bringing it up like it's a normal conversation. I laughed a
Hmm.
few times with him saying it, and they kept saying, and it was funny. I can't think of the guy's name who was in the beginning of the episode. They eventually recruited him. I just don't remember his name. He's the one with like the stuff on his head, black dude. T'Challa eventually recruits him. Matter of fact, let's just start from the beginning real
Oh
quick. You
man,
know what I'm talking about, right?
that was hilarious.
He was
Oh my
hilarious.
god! It felt. You know what the funny thing about that is? It felt so like wrestling because the guy just marked out
For
hardcore.
T'Challa, yes.
Even in the fight, and then mind you, long story short, they end up getting into a fight. He gets knocked out, and he's just laid out with a big smile on his face, talking about classic Star Lord. I'm like, what the fuck is going
I,
on?
I I know, right? It makes me laugh because I go like I can't help but be like, even if I like someone so much, you're not gonna hit me and be like, I'm gonna still be like starstruck about you. So yeah, it was really cool. It was funny seeing that, and also too, it was really cool to show the difference between, um, oh god, what's his name, Peter Quill and T'Challa, how they are portrayed as Star Lord. Because like
Mhm.
T'Challa as Star Lord, he really just want to help the galaxy. I mean, there was something he wanted to do as a kid. They show you a little bit in the 1988. Shout out to 1988. I was born that year. Um, they he's in Wakanda. His father's like, never leave. Don't worry about helping anybody. It's just you trying to do good for the world is not going to make any difference. But young T'Challa just he wants to see the world. He goes outside the barriers of Wakanda, and he's abducted, kidnapped. I don't know what word you want to use it by what do they call it? The Ravagers, and you have Yondu in this thing. Does this look like Peter Quill? But he takes a liking to T'Challa, and that's when we get resumed to the modern times of that. Right now, 20 years later, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I thought it was cool. I mean, it was nice little like this is how this happened, and then move to the story, and then it leads to this big this heist, the heist.
Yep.
But what did you think about
Yep.
Nebula? We mentioned Nebula, but what did you think about her appearance?
I thought she was drastically different. I think the only thing that was the same about Nebula was just that thing in her eye, like when they moved her hair, and when the collector moved her hair over, that was the only thing that was the same. Like she was like a completely different person. I think that one of the main things that kind of made her feel like Nebula was just the dynamic between her and Thanos. You know
Yeah,
how like she had this like love-hate relationship with Thanos, which was very interesting because in the beginning she's just like, he's lucky that I call him the big guy, you
yeah.
know, and then later on, way later in the episode when he's getting hurt, she's like, "Ugh," you know what I mean? So I thought that that whole dynamic was very, very interesting. But she was just awesome. You know what I mean? Like the blonde hair, the whole thing, like, you know, and clearly she had a thing for T'Challa.
I know, Cha
So
Cha. Hey, Cha
yeah,
Cha. Hey, I know she
yeah,
was talking about the
exactly.
damn Cha Cha slide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For
she was
it.
like, you wanted some of that Cha Cha. Cha Cha.
Oh man, she wanted to cha-cha slide. That's hilarious.
Uh-huh. She wanted to really know what Wakanda Forever meant.
Word out.
This is a family friendly show, we promise. But but yeah, no, I thought some of the dynamics. I want to talk about you know who I really want to talk about? I thought he stole the show. I thought that I thought T'Challa was great. Obviously T'Challa was great. But the collector, man, like he was a character. You talk about wrestling. He kind of remind me of that flamboyant, heel. He was such a heel, like just.
uh, he felt very Flair.
You think Ric Flair, right? I was gonna say Flair, but I thought that was a stretch. But you think Ric Flair?
Yeah, no, he felt very Flair. You know why? Because here's the thing. I mean, not to make it about wrestling, but the thing about Flair is that at this point, it's just hard for him not to pop. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about like the time where Flair was heel, maybe even Charlotte. You know what I mean? Just somebody that's overly flamboyant
Mhm.
and just like, you know, extremely confident and obnoxious. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
I see that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like Dolph Ziggler, you know, that kind of thing. The Miz type of thing, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I see Miz.
Overly,
I definitely see Miz. I see that. I see that with
yeah,
the
you
Miz.
see what I mean? Just overly like,
Just all into himself, and
mm-hmm.
that's what I liked about him because he was just so into himself. I mean, this collector dude. I mean, he, he gets T'Challa because he gets betrayed. What we think he gets betrayed by Nebula. And when I saw that, I was like, "Damn, she really didn't change at all in this storyline." Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but he collects T'Challa. Eventually T'Challa get out. It's a ruse. T'Challa always knew about wanting to be collected because Nebula let him know early in the episode. And then they eventually have a fight. I mean, I want to get to the part two, but I want to finish this part right here. But you have where, and I'm jumping the gun here, the fight between T'Challa and Collector, which I thought was cool because you saw some real cool Easter eggs there. You saw stuff from Thor. You saw Captain America's shield. When I saw that, I said, "What happened?" Because at that point I want to know what happened. How did you get that shield? Like Cap always have this. You know what I mean? He always have this.
Yep.
How did you get that shield? But he
Yep.
had those the things that he put on her head. It's like a cap. But I really fell out when he said, "Oh, this woman have taste." I said, "I want more to Collector. I really want a lot more to Collector." And I just thought he did a great job. I just wanted a lot more of him. I thought he did great. And but I do
I
want
really
to
like the fight between him and Yandu and T'Challa.
that
You know,
was
I
good.
thought because it was pretty challenging, and then the way that they ended up winning that fight, I thought was classic because that showed the dynamic between T'Challa and Yandu.
That was good. Yeah.
The whole thing about sticky fingers. It was what it was
Well,
called.
yeah, sticky fingers. But
And then he goes,
I like how they had. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I like the part where said, "Who's the glue?" And he's like, "Because you lied to me." And I don't want to
yeah,
talk about that. Go ahead. I thought that was really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, because they had that whole dynamic earlier where T'Challa just found out about his father and his world and all of that. So the whole dynamic there was incredible because it's kind of like telling the story of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Black Panther together. You know what I mean? Which is extremely random, in my opinion. Like those two stories, how they can cross together like that, the way that they did this, incredible. In my opinion, especially adding Thanos to the mix and turning Thanos into a baby face, that is incredible. I before this, I couldn't even imagine that Thanos could be that. You know what I mean? And then just seeing like it's kind of like they took Star-Lord and Miles Morales, Star-Lord, and then just added all this other stuff. Like it was just great. It really was. Like
Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I was a big fan of this. I mean, I do. I mean, eventually T'Challa goes home, so we have the story where there's like a happy ending for him, where both his families, both the Ravengers and his Wakandan family or his actual family, they're back together, and he's back together with his actual family. And I thought it was such a really good happy ending. And then there was a spot where we see where's Peter Quill? What happened? Which kind of give you a dark feeling, especially when the Watcher says what he says. But he says,
here's the thing, though.
Sure.
That I was wondering about, and I was looking for clues. That Peter did not look like Peter Quill.
Nah. Well, you gotta remember this too. He never goes to space or nothing like that, and he's working at and I don't want to like downplay anybody who works at a fast food or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like this illusion, like he's just like your average dude.
No, but the reason why I say that is because the guy is working at a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Right. And those kind of jobs are usually for teenagers. We never see Peter Quill as a teenager. The only Peter that we know as a teenager is Spider-Man.
Right.
So they're mixing Spider-Man and Peter Quill's father. Yo, the power that Spider-Man probably has is insane. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
But see, I do want to touch a little bit on that. I do want to touch on that. So I just want to understand. So do you think that Peter that he saw was Peter Parker?
Yes.
That's interesting. I never thought that. I mean, I would like to believe Ego knows what his son looked like, but
no, I mean it's just that this is the what if universe.
Right. That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, Nebula's a blonde. T'Challa is Star-Lord. The Thanos is a good guy. Like, Peter Parker.
What you're saying
what
is
I mean? Like,
he could have been.
Ego might be the father of Peter Parker.
That's interesting. I didn't. But I think that's okay.
Like as far as Peter Parker's story, the only father that we know is Uncle Ben.
Right. No, so
you know what I mean? We don't know anything about his parents.
No.
Ever. We never learned anything about Spider-Man's parents.
No, they've mentioned them in the comics and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of like they were secret agents and all this other stuff. But in this universe, I do believe that that's Peter Quill, because you got to remember too, at the beginning when Yondu was looking, they were looking for Peter Quill, and he even said when he said, "Hey, look, this is the same kid. All kids look alike." And Yondu said, "Does he look like Peter Quill?" And he had that thing. So that is Peter Quill. Even though he looked different, I think animation-wise it looked different. I think also too, he's on Earth. I think it's just a difference. Like when he goes into space, it's almost like he learns how to take care of himself and whatnot. He's working at a Daily Queen, and he's just trying to make ends meet or just trying to make a buck. And that's why even Ego approached him and says, like, "Hey, you don't have time for your old man," which was voiced by Kurt Russell, which I thought was great. I do want to point this out. Like when they actually get the people to voice the actual characters that they portray, it just makes you feel it makes it feel like it's so much of the MCU, and I
You know
really
what
enjoy
though? With that being said, I really wish that it was Jeff Goldblum
I
as the
know
collector.
as
I
the
really, yeah.
yeah.
I wish it was because like I saw the name Kurt Russell in the beginning. I was like, oh shit, he's in it. You know what I mean? But then I spent most of the episode looking for him. So then at the end, I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, all right, they gave him the cameo. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, the other cameo that I loved was Howard the Duck.
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Yeah, that duck is me. I love that duck.
for real. I like that line that he said, when you're out of luck, you go with duck. Charlie's like, I'm sure nobody says that.
He said,
So,
everybody says that.
you
Yeah,
know what I mean? And you know what I find funny is that like he's sitting there raised by Yandu and still has his African accent. Like I think that was hilarious. But
I'm
it
glad
was
he
all
did.
about
He kept it.
yeah.
You said cameos, but let's talk about Drax. He was there. I wish he was voiced by Dave Bautista, but he was good.
Facts. Oh man. And like no, I love how literal he was, and he's just like, take another picture. You look awful in it. I look
I look
great.
great. I know.
No, you look take another one. I was just like,
You know what was funny that he said, and I immediately thought about Drax from the MCU. There was a spot where he said, you saved my family." He says, "All in a day's work." No, it took several days. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
exactly. Yeah, like
I thought that was so hilarious because, like you say, he's so literal. Like when someone
yeah.
said, "Oh, what was that one line?" He said, "Oh, don't expressions. They just go over his head. Nonsense. My reflexes are too fast." I was like, "I love this guy." I immediately, I immediately fell in love with this guy. But that's pretty much the episode, ladies and gentlemen. It was such a really fun episode. It was great to hear Chadwick Boseman uh, play the role one more time. I think we can all say, well, I wish he could have still done it, but he did a great job. He brought the child to life, and I mean, I don't know what next week's what if is, but we'll be here. We'll be here to talk about what if. I kind of hope it's something Spider-Man related because I think I got a treat. So it should be a good time. So, T'Challa, any final words before we go?
Wakanda forever.
That man's a great one. Yes. Tongue over. Wakanda forever. There's plenty of other shows coming on tonight. I don't. On entertainment, there's supposed to be shows called The Challenge. Still, stay tuned. Be around. It's a good time. Some other co-hosts are gonna be here. The captain, Mike Knox. But for us, we're gonna say good night and where's the thing? Oh, bye.